Hi everyone, welcome to the fourth VWDOV episode, which will be doing a second automotive feature, this time of Jakub's, also known as Air-Cooled Rules, in 1984 GTI with the VR6 swap.
That's me.
Right. I guess let's get our feet wet. What can you tell us about the car? When did you first get it?
When did I get it? I got the car from my brother. So I'm 39 right now. He bought the car when I was about 16 or 17 years old. He bought it from a salvage auction in Portland. We're in Vancouver, BC, Canada, of course. So he bought it at a salvage auction in Portland or Seattle, one of the two. I can't remember now. It's been a while. And it was supposed to be a project. He was planning on doing like a 16 valve conversion, European front end, European rear, and completely changed the car up, black interior. And the car was so nice, I kind of didn't want that to happen to it. And even you have to remember at that time, over 20 years ago, people didn't really save these cars. They were all converted to European, round headlights, short tail lights, converted to different engines and interior swaps. Nobody cared. But the car was
no love for the Westies.
No, not at that time. And it was such a nice car, just so true and original. I just didn't like that. And luckily, he didn't get too far with it. Ended up, I was driving it one day and blew the engine in it, and it got parked. And it was stored in a barn for years. And I just wanted the car, so I ended up making a deal with him, and I acquired the car. So I've had it probably 15 years now. Yeah, probably about 15 years.
Okay. At what point did you want to do the engine swap?
I didn't want to do the engine swap. What happened was I've had a lot of different engines and transmissions in this car. I used to drive it quite a bit, and the initial engine blew because when he purchased the car, my brother, he had an oil pressure problem, so the red light would blink and buzz. And he didn't care to fix it because his plan was to do the 16 valve conversion anyway. So there was no sense in tearing into the motor because he didn't care. He didn't want it. And then one day I was driving and it blew up. I subsequently, when I bought the car from him, I put another 8 valve in it. And then that blew up, and I put another 8 valve in it. And that blew up. And I think I don't know if I put 2 or 3. I think I put 2 in. And then I decided, and several transmissions. And I decided if another 8 valve blows up, I'm just going to do a VR6 conversion. And at the time, prior to that decision, I had a Mark II VR6, and I loved that car. And at the time, I had no VR6 cars, and I thought, I love that engine, and I want to have a car with that engine. So that was why that decision was made. I just wanted something VR6. And sure enough, the engine cooked, and I said, that's it, and we just did it.
How many VR6s have you gone through now?
This is VR6 number 3, and there's probably going to be a VR6 number 4. This one is a little smoky.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So we had major issues. We started the conversion 2015. I would say I started collecting parts, and that's when the first attempt was made. Around that time, didn't go very well. Second engine was purchased. We did that one. Also wasn't good. It took years every time. You're buying a donor car, dismantling the donor car, making the time to do the conversion, all that stuff. We had multiple problems with multiple issues, tons. And then I finally decided I'm just going to buy another donor car that runs well, put that engine in here. And that's what this is. It was a high kilometer engine. The car had like 350,000 kilometers, the donor car. But it was a car that I was able to buy, run the engine in the car, let it get up to temperature, check if it's smoke, do a compression test, and all that was okay. So we decided, let's put that engine in, let's see if the conversion works. Because the prior 2 attempts, we had major issues we couldn't figure out, so I just need to start fresh. So we put that engine in here, and it's been good. It smokes.
Not as much as the last one.
The other ones were overheating.
Yeah.
This one just smokes because it probably needs rings. The engine's got low compression. It's like 125, 130 psi across the board. It's even, but it's high kilometers. Pulls good, has lots of power, feels nice, but ultimately there's no emissions controls in the car, no catalytic converter, it smokes. So now with the car having engine, an issue with the transmission, the engine's got to come out to do that. So do I put a smoky engine back in it? I don't know. We'll see. So I recently purchased another donor car, just as a spare, and that engine may end up in here, or we might rebuild this one, or we'll see how it goes. The car's a little bit on the back burner right now, due to that transmission failure last year. Well, more so a transmission noise. The car still drives. I decided to park it and focus on some other stuff, and it's been sitting for about a year, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get back on it. Maybe next year.
Okay.
So we'll see which engine ends up going into it, but might just be this one that gets rebuilt. We'll see.
Okay. And then other than drivetrain, do you have any other plans for it? Interior, exterior?
I like the way the car looks.
Definitely, it's got the survivor look.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it'd be nice to paint the car, redo the whole interior. I have like 6 of these front seats in my garage upstairs, and the rafters. I have at least one of every single interior component for the car: dashboard, trim, seat belts, rear seats, like absolutely everything. I have at least one or multiple of everything on that interior. Because over the 15 years, anytime I saw a piece of red trim or a window winder or something come up, I would just buy it. And so I've got everything. I even have a full NOS roll of fabric, like from the 80s, to redo the whole interior if I want to. And of course, it's got dings and dents and stuff like that. So it'd be nice, but I kind of like it the way it is. I couldn't use the car the way I use it if it was perfect. So I really just like it the way it is. I mean, it'd be nice if it was a little nicer, but I don't really have major plans to do anything crazy with the car. I have a set of wheels I want to build for the car. These are obviously not the ones. So that's got to happen. But as far as the way it looks, I just like it looking like an original car. I like the interior the way it is. It's got the original steering wheel, and it just looks like an '84 GTI, and I like it like that.
Yeah, basically lowered BBS wheels.
Yeah, so I mean,
and the cool aftermarket front grille with the fog lamps built in.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually go back to the original grille. I put this one on because I was afraid to damage the original grille, so I took it off and I wrapped it up and put it in my attic, just because they're one of the most difficult things to find for these cars. So, and I used to daily drive this thing quite a bit, put a lot of mileage on it. Even winter drove it. I remember I bought a set of brand new winter tires for the original Snowflakes wheels, and I drove it in the winter, and no ABS or aids, so I took the original grille off and purchased this one on eBay. But I would like to put the original GTI grille badge back on, so I think eventually the original grille will find its way back onto the car, and this one will be sold. As for the wheels, I know you love BBS wheels, but I have a set of BBS RS 001s for this car. Those are the wheels that car had when my brother owned it. And when I got the car from him, I actually ended up trading him another similar Rabbit that was running for this car. And he kept the BBS RS 001s for that car. So I always wanted to put those same wheels back on this car, because that's how I remember the car when I was a kid or a teenager. So I acquired a set of RS 001s, but they need full refurbishment. So one day those will be built and go back on the car. Funny enough, it was almost like a pyramid I had to climb to get those wheels, because when I got the car, I don't even remember what wheels were on it, but I think I bought some BBS RAs, from like a Mark II GTX, GLI, 16, whatever. And I had those for a while. Then I acquired some RMs. I'm like, okay, I'm getting there. Put the RMs on the car. Had those for a while. Then I found a set of RSs, but they weren't the 001s. They were just something else, re-drilled.
The black ones.
Yeah, they were cream. They were from Cam's Passat or Mark II or Dallas's Passat, whatever. So I bombed them black just because they looked really odd with the cream on this car. So okay, I had RSs, good enough. But then I found the 001s. I bought those. And these wheels were actually purchased for a different car, which I've since sold. So I put them on here because they're clean and they look great. So that's what we're rolling for now. But ultimately, RS 001s. Other than that, just clean it up a little bit eventually, just to make it, a better car. But I like it the way it is. I like to be able to use it. I don't worry about it. I don't mind if a kid spills crackers in the back seat, or
Or modifies the GTI black badge.
Oh yeah, or my kid ripped the GTI badge off, or you know, like my wife was mowing the lawn and I shot a rock on, and there's like a big dent on the roof from the rock. Whatever, you know, it's fine. You know, once a car's perfect, you don't use it.
Yeah, and then you're afraid to use it.
That's what happens. You know,
Yep.
guys build cars and they get them perfect, and then it's like, well, I don't know. Do I want to go drag racing in it? Probably not. Do I want to drive it 6 hours to a show? I don't know. And I don't like that. I like to use them. That's my favorite part. Getting behind the wheel and going for a drive is the best part of ownership. These cars for me. That's what I enjoy the most. It's not, you know, necessarily building them or wrenching on them or, you know, it's driving. That's my favorite.
Yep.
So, you know, if it's raining, I want to go for a drive.
It's a good mix that I like too. I like my cars to look nice, but there's a threshold. You don't want them too nice either because you want to enjoy them, not worry too much. Right? Kind of like original Survivor, a little bit of show, but not full-fledged.
Yeah, if you can do that, right? Like this car being all original paint, body panels, you know, it's not rusty, so it can be left alone, you know, with some small repairs. You know, if you get a car that's a roach or needs a full restoration, then your kind of hands are tied. But yeah, if you get a car that's nice and clean, then yeah, just maintain it and it's fine. You know, I remember even with your Jetta, you were taking the seat out and you put a little scratch in the car, and I remember you were like devastated. But at the end of the day, like it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you didn't just spend 10 grand on a paint job. You didn't do that. Like,
No.
you know, it's fine. It's not a big deal. You know, this car's got dings and dents all over and marks, and that's fine. You know, I like it just the way it is.
Just got to get rid of those wheels.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, they're totally error correct. They're clean. I got a fantastic deal on them. But yeah, I mean, eventually the RSL ones will go on there. But again, it's a big expense. You know, building these wheels nowadays is big bucks. You know, it's not. I paid my brother for the car. Like I bought a Rabbit for like $700. I was running driving, one owner car, same color as this, but it was just a Rabbit L. All original, like even had the original Volkswagen like stamped exhaust muffler, like just completely original car. Very nice clean car. I bought that car for $700, I believe, $600 or $700, and gave it to him, and I got this. You know, it's going to cost me $5,000 to get the wheels redone. So by the time you're all said and done with the tires and everything,
Right.
it's big bucks, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, it's not so cheap anymore. Anything else to add
to the car? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those cars that is worth more to me than the dollar amount, you know, that it's actually worth, because it's been in the family for so long. I remember driving this car when I was a teenager. You know, I had my first car at the time. I had a '98 Jetta GT 2-liter. It was nice. It had apt wheels and you know, suspension, and it had, you know, like European bumper and smoke light. It was just a nicely set up car. 5-year-old car at the time, great car. And I remember I gave it to my brother to drive for a couple of days because I wanted to drive this, and I didn't want to give this back. I just kept driving it. And it would be periods of time where I would just drive this for like 2 weeks and park my like 5-year-old nice car and drive this 20-year-old Rabbit because it's just so fun to drive. And I have lots of memories of, like, you know, driving this thing to work, my first job, you know, downtown. I remember the starter died one day, and I would like push it down the street at midnight after work to get it started to drive it home. And I did that for like a week until I actually put a starter in it, and all sorts of great memories driving this thing when I was young. And that just beats any kind of dollar amount you could give me for it, you know, unless something happened out of my control and I had to go, then that's fine. But yeah, it's just, it means more to me than the metal that it is, right? So it's part of the family.
Nice. And why is the car currently broken?
Yeah, so we raced it at Mission Raceway last year. Megan did, my wife. And then the following day, we did like a monster burnout in the car, which was awesome. But then after that, I think the differential's making noise. So he didn't like it. So we're going to have to put an LSD in it and go through that. And rather than keep driving it until it comes apart completely, we decided to park the car and just shelve it until we do the repair.
Yep.
So that's why it's down. But it runs and it moves and everything. But it's just on a little hiatus.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Good.
I think we can wrap it up.
Sounds good. Thanks.